What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Cass here, and I'm here with ColeTrain, and we are back for episode number 3 of the Creator Insight interviews that I've been doing. Episode 1, we had Shannon on from SWW. Episode 2, a really good conversation with Whistler. And now we're here with Cole, and we're going to talk about a bunch of different questions and dive in to some more universe mode hierarchy stuff. While Shannon and Whistler our questions were a lot more character based. Shannon's was dived a little bit into universe mode stuff and running that. Cole's channel is mainly known for his universe mode stuff, so I'm excited to see his insights into a lot of that. So, how you doing, Cole?
I'm doing great, man. First off, thank you so much for having me on here. I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I watched them extensively. Great conversations there was, and I was like, man, I'm looking forward to my turn to come on here and give my insights on the creator world. I'm doing good. A lot of things are happening on my YouTube channel. We got a lot going on in the pipeline with production and stuff. And beginning of the year, always the busiest time. We're trying to get
100%
some stuff out before the next game come out. We're going to talk about WWE 2K25 and about how you try to get to a certain point before the game comes out, so you don't have that wait over whenever the new game comes out. But yeah, I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. Most recently, this week I ordered me a new laptop. Got a brand new webcam coming in there, so my videos are going to look crispier. I got my tablet over Christmas, so a lot of technical upgrades for the YouTube channel, which I'm very excited about to dive into this year. But thanks again for having me, and I am doing wonderful. Looking forward to this conversation.
Well, I had to have you on because, in case you didn't know, and this will be linked in the description of this video, I actually hopped over to Cole's interview. When did that drop? Probably about a week ago now?
Yeah, about 1 week ago, I interviewed Cass for the ColeTrain interview series. So, ColeTrain interviews runs a little bit different from how Cass is run. He has specific creators come on. I do the same thing, but it was more detailed about the person that we're talking to or their channel specifically. Like, I've interviewed someone that's outside of wrestling. I've interviewed I've interviewed a wrestler in training. I've interviewed like a computer scientist. I interview everybody for the ColeTrain interviews. So if y'all haven't checked that video out, please go check it out. It is a fun conversation. It was a blast learning about the insights of UKW, how everything started, and all that fun stuff, and learning about how Cass became a wrestling fan. Was absolutely incredible. It was one of the most unique conversations I ever had, because for the first time ever, Cass became a wrestling fan from something that was out of left field that I never would have thought would have happened. So y'all go watch that video. It was very fun.
Yeah, and one thing to get some motion over there, we're not going to discuss what that is, so we're going to leave y'all off on a cliff. So let's go ahead and hop into question number 1. We start every creator insight the same way. Cole, how did you become a wrestling fan? You asked me this on the ColeTrain interview, so I feel like I gotta return the favor and ask you this on Creator Insight.
Oh, absolutely, man. It is a story, so y'all buckle in. So back in 2007, I was about 4 years old. And this was January of I was actually 3 years old. 3 years old going on to 4. January 2007. My dad and my uncle were massive wrestling fans. They don't watch the product as much as they used to. My dad hasn't watched since 2018. The last show my dad watched was WrestleMania 34. He took me there. He surprised me for my birthday. I said, Dad, I don't want anything else for my birthday. I want to go to WrestleMania. I've never been to a WrestleMania, so we went in New Orleans in 2018. That was the last time my dad has ever watched the WWE product. He has little to no idea what's going on in 2025. they were massive fans in the 90s, 80s, and 90s. They grew up with Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker. They watched the entirety of the Monday Night Wars, WCW versus WWE. Both my uncle and my dad were Team WWF at the time. They were on that side, but they did watch WCW as well. And in the 2000s, they were still keeping up with it, and they were still huge fans of it. And I just one day caught them watching the product. They purchased the Royal Rumble 2007. Now I'm 3 years old at the time, and 3 year old, I'm just getting into gaming too. I had a PS2. I played my dad's GameCube. So I was already gaming a lot, but I never really got into the wrestling games until 2007, 2008. That's when I really became a wrestling fan. So I was sitting there. It was the main event. It was the Royal Rumble, and it was on participant number 25 or 26. I was 3. I don't remember every detail. And I was like, this looks cool. So my dad was like, oh, you want to come sit down and watch it? So I was sitting on the couch with him. We watched the entirety of the Royal Rumble. The Undertaker came out. The lights went out. I was like, what is going on? I was like, it was like the dead man. I was like, he's a dead guy? So I was like very intrigued by that. And Taker made his entrance. It was Undertaker and Shawn Michaels for that standoff in 07 for that Royal Rumble, one of the greatest endings to a Royal Rumble I've ever seen in my life. And after that, I was like, okay, I like this wrestling thing. So after that, I just became hooked. I tuned into Monday Night Raw, and every time my dad and uncle watched it, I watched it. And then when I turned 4, he introduced me to the WWE games. And I played my first WWE game. It was SmackDown versus Raw 2000 and I believe it was 7. It's 2007 on the PS2. He had the game, and I was like, I want to play as these guys. And he said there's a video game for it. You can go play as the Undertaker or John Cena or whatever on the game. And I got on the game at 4, and I have been playing the game since 4 years old. Ever since that day, I have not missed a WWE game outside of the Battlegrounds game that was absolutely garbage. That was the only game I did not buy from the WWE games since SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. So
oh my
after
god, that Battlegrounds game was so horrible, dude.
Oh my god, dude. It was one of the worst things that 2K ever did. Like, they were just coming with an excuse to make money off the WWE games license, and it was blatantly obvious. I didn't even get it. I said no.
The problem with it is they were trying to capitalize off the NBA Playgrounds. Like, I think it was called NBA Playgrounds. It was like a very similar animation style.
Yes.
And it came out like a year or two previous to Battlegrounds, and they were trying to do something like that, I think. And
correct.
Because it was just
it was bad because. What NBA 2K did was they realized that there was an audience that liked that NBA Live type gameplay, but they didn't want to integrate that in NBA 2K. So they made NBA Playgrounds a street ball game to get that audience to purchase a game for them so they can migrate some NBA Live fans. It did not work out at all because the game sold poorly. So they tried that same thing with WWE 2K because a lot of people were complaining on Twitter and social media that they wanted an arcade style WWE game. That's why we got WWE 2K Battlegrounds. The inclination by 2K was, and the business thing that they wanted to do was, they wanted to release Battlegrounds in the time period that we currently have the WWE games now, and then release a simulation based WWE game in the fall. That was their inclination, to release 2 WWE games a year to make more money. But after WWE 2K Battlegrounds failed miserably, they changed course and said, okay, well, now we're going to release the WWE games starting with WWE 2K22 in the spring around WrestleMania time to capitalize on sales. So that's a funny, interesting behind the scenes story if y'all did not know why WWE 2K Battlegrounds existed. That's why. But finishing out my little story with the wrestling thing, after that I became hooked. I started watching TNA I liked Kurt Angle. So Kurt Angle was one of my favorites in WWE because I was watching. So he was, I believe, either on his way out or probably gone at this point when I first started watching. But people used to tell me, "Oh, Kurt Angle's awesome. Kurt Angle." So I followed Kurt Angle to TNA. So I was like, okay, I started watching TNA because of Kurt Angle. I started watching. Then I first got introduced to AJ Styles. I started watching TNA because of him as well. So I started exploring and watching WWE and TNA from like 2008 until like 2012, until like Dixie Carter took over, and then I stopped watching TNA for a little bit. And I recently started picking it back up like the last 2 years. So I just started exploring, watching other companies. I gotta admit, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I was a WWE fanboy. I was. I thought that WWE was the cream of the crop. If you go back, if you met me 5 years ago, you'll see how much of a fanboy I was for WWE. But that has changed as I gotten older, and I realized that the tribalism is very stupid and idiotic. So I'm an all-around wrestling fan. I watch whatever is good. I watch AEW now. I watch New Japan. I watch TNA. If you're putting on a great product, you're going to get my money. You're going to get my time. It's just that simple. I think the tribalistic thing is very, very dumb, honestly. Okay, you like WWE more, you would just watch WWE and don't complain about and hate on people that watch AEW. If you like AEW more, you're more of that, you like that hardcore wrestling style, like AEW give you those long matches. Just watch AEW and don't watch WWE. I think the tribalistic thing is very, very dumb. I don't get involved with the arguments on Twitter anymore personally. I just leave it be. But yeah, that's really, the Royal Rumble was the first ever wrestling show I ever watched, and I have been hooked ever since 2007. If you do the math, that's what almost, like, 07, they was turning 18 soon. Almost 18 years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my sister was born in 06. She's turning 19 this year. So, yes, this makes 18 years. I have been a wrestling fan, 2025. I've been a wrestling fan for almost 20 years. That's insane. When I thought about it, I was like, whoa. I've been watching that long, almost 20 years, man. So, yeah, that's the story of how I got into wrestling, and here we are today doing this podcast.
And I'm starting to get to a point where, and I don't know if you got to that point yet, where like I'm starting to get to a point where I've seen people debut and they're coming close to where they're about ready to be done, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, that like I was watching Chris Van Vliet's podcast with Seth Rollins, and I watched Seth when he debuted in WWE. I know that was like 10 years into his
career,
whole career.
He started in 2002, I think.
But he's talking about like being done soon, like, and I'm like, that was really insightful for me. Like, yeah. Time is really passing.
Like, think about it. The Undertaker got me into wrestling, and he retired in 2020. AJ Styles was the reason why I started exploring and watching other companies. He's done either this year or next year. John Cena. I was a massive John Cena fan growing up. That's all I knew. I was doing his stuff in school and everything. This is his last year. Like, everybody that I grew up that got me into wrestling 18 years ago, either most of them are retired or are about to retire. Like Edge, or Adam Copeland. He don't have that long left. I gave him another 2 or 3 years. Christian Cage, like, I give him a few more years too. Randy Orton, the same thing. Randy Orton said he might wrestle till 2030 and then he's done. So all my generation, all our childhood heroes are about to retire, and really shows you how fast time is passing. So I say to people, if you're a current, or you're just getting into wrestling, you have your favorites, value them, watch their matches, support them, because when in the blink of an eye, it's gonna be time for them to hang up your boots. In the next 10, 12 years, we're gonna be talking about Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair hanging up the boots. And I remember when those women debuted. I was there when they had their first matches. and
Yeah.
we're gonna be talking about them retiring soon. So that's just how the business goes. You got to build up the new generation as the old guard slowly swivels out. And now I was talking about, my uncle was talking about he remember when Stone Cold and then retired. And I'm like, that was so long ago. Now my favorites are about to retire, and I'm saying the same thing. Like, wow, I remember whenever that guy started, and now look at him about to hang up the boots in like a couple months.
I think it's like I think it's really insightful. Like I think a lot of people are going to get really emotional when it gets time for Cena to really be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I always really think about it is like I hope it's not like just to sell more tickets or stuff. Like I hope when they do this year with Cena, he's actually sticks to it and stays done.
Yeah, if you watch his
I feel
interviews, if you watch his interviews, I seen the one that he did with Shannon Sharp, and his mindset when he says this is it, because he's going to be really going more Hollywood after this. He is going to be primarily focused with the DCU. He said he's taking more projects after he retires, and I think that this might be his time to finally have that kid, because he talked about wanting like not having kids because he couldn't give them the time and energy because of doing wrestling and acting. Well,
Yeah.
think about this. If wrestling's out the equation and he only acts a couple movies a year, then he can have that child that he wants to. And give them the time and energy that he wants. Cause he's almost 50, so time is of the essence. You say, even though men can have kids as long as they're living. I know John Cena and how he thinks. He wants to have them when he still could run around with them, and he still go to their events and be healthy as possible. So, I fully believe when he says this is it. He had a scare that he thought that he wasn't going to wrestle again after like 2022. He thought like 2023, 2024 he couldn't. He didn't have the time to come back to do stuff. So he was semi-retired at that point. So, and then he came to Triple H and said, "Let's do the farewell tour." He said, "This is it." He wants one more year, and he's out. So I fully believe that he's not going to pull a Ric Flair. I don't think he's going to pull a Shawn Michaels, because John Cena is a made man. Okay, there's no amount of money that can convince him to come back. Like, I really believe when the boots are hung up, they're hung up, and he doesn't see me as a guy like the Undertaker to just keep coming back just to have that satisfaction that he went out on a high note. I don't see John Cena being that type of person, because I think that John Cena knows what he brings to the table. So he's going to go out when he is as healthy as possible, where he can give us that classic that he's been doing for the last 20 plus years.
Because that's also the worry too of people talking about with like the farewell tour and everything, of how well, because everybody's been talking, like you saw the Raw on Netflix, Cena enter the Rumble, and we might talk about that here in a bit, about like who you think has the biggest chance of winning that. But with Cena, it worries me about like where they're gonna place him on the card, about like how he can go at that stage, at the stage in his career.
Right.
Because it's like, could he do a 15-20 minute match, world championship match with Seth Rollins at this point, with Cody Rhodes at this point, or is it gonna have to be a different style of match to fit more of what he can bring to the table?
That's a good question. We haven't had him do a 15-20 minute match in years.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time John Cena was in the ring for over 20 minutes.
No, that's the thing. Like, if you're gonna if you are gonna give him the championship, Because everybody's talking about how they want this last run him to break Flair's record.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do that, there either has to be a story in place where it benefits him not working longer matches, or there has to be something in place, in my opinion, that you already know he can do that. Like y'all, like maybe you've seen that his endurance can do that. Because I feel like we're in an era of professional wrestling that values like, especially with like Gunther on Raw, as a very like workhorse champion.
I think that's the champions that Triple H likes the most. He likes the guys that can go. That's really his era. If you notice, all of his champions that he has currently, they can go 15, 20 minutes in the ring. With Vince, he didn't really like look at that much. He looked at the character. He looked at, could you tell a good story, and and are you good on the mic? That's the stuff that he looked for whenever he did his world champions. Whenever he was running the company, Triple H does it differently. He looks at, can you wrestle? And I think that, to answer your question, Kaz, we're going to see if John Cena can do that based on the Royal Rumble itself. The Royal Rumble is going to give us all the inclination in the world, in my opinion, if John Cena can go this full year and do, like we said, go 20 minutes. I think that what they're going to do is, I think that this is probably this is my prediction. I don't know if I could be wrong, because again, the Royal Rumble's in a few weeks. I think that he's going to come out at number 17. Just to tease the fans, he's going to enter at number 17. And I think that he will be a part of the final three. Now, when you ask me the question about the Royal Rumble, who I think will win, I'll answer that question a little later on. But I think that John Cena should be a part of the final three. I think that will be a huge mistake if they don't capitalize on this farewell tour and have him be at the end of the Royal Rumble. If they don't do that, he better be eliminated by somebody that's going to be fighting him at WrestleMania. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to waste that opportunity. But I think that he will be a part of the final three. And that will give us the indication, like, depending on how he fares in the ring, how long he goes, that will determine the rest of the year. But if he can't go, I agree, like you said, if you're going to give him the championship, you better give me a good storyline reason why his matches are 10 minutes. Because if there's not a good storyline reason, I will voice my frustration with that, because you're the world champion. You should not be having 10-minute matches unless there's a good reason as to why this main event's 10, 12 minutes.
See, I think I can get behind a story where you have a veteran John Cena who finally had to shift his character from this happy-go-lucky fan-based character to fit a younger generation. I feel like I can get behind that. That he knows he can no longer keep up in ring. So he's having to use his mind to have shorter matches, win matches, and I feel like that might be the way to finally get that John Cena heel turn.
I think that's the perfect way to do it, because, he's been planting the seeds to I haven't won a match in how many years? Like 3 or 4 years I haven't won a match?
Yeah.
He's been planting that seed of a heel turn. I think that this is the last opportunity. Well, literally, it is. This is the last opportunity they have to do it. If it's not done here, then it won't ever happen. Because I like I said a few minutes ago, I fully believe he is done. DONE. Like after December of 2025, we will never see that man lace up his wrestling boots and wrestle inside the WWE ring. I believe that. Will he appear? Yeah, he'll be like Undertaker. He'll make his sporadically appearances on like anniversary shows, WrestleManias, or whatever, if he has time. But he will not get in that ring anymore. So this is the last opportunity for us to see that heel turn. And I think, like you said, Kaz, that's the perfect way to do it. Saying that I can't go like Seth Rollins. I can't go like Roman Reigns anymore. I'm not in my early 30s anymore, my late 30s anymore. I'm almost 50. I gotta watch my body. I gotta go with how my body reacts. So he uses his mind more to win matches, and I think that that could be a perfect way that he can beat Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
If they're gonna go that route and he can't go 30 with Cody, he needs to turn heel and beat Cody.
I've also seen people fade that they like the idea of Cena and Gunther at WrestleMania. You mentioned Cody. I worry with a Cena Gunther match that those styles might not equal up to.
Yeah, I don't think Gunther fits John Cena in 2025. Maybe John Cena in 2012, 13 would be better with Gunther, but not now. No. I think Gunther needs to face someone else at WrestleMania. If he's going to be the world champion, I think John Cena and Cody Rhodes is too big of a match to just sit there and pass up. Because if Cody doesn't face John Cena, then who do you have him face? Is it going to be? We know Rock is not doing it because I think Rock started working WrestleMania. Especially after what we've seen on the first
Which
Raw
is surprising
on
as hell to me, by the way. I'm going to be 100% honest. It was surprising as hell watching Raw on Netflix and not seeing him, like, attack Roman. I'm so, like, genuinely was so surprising to me. I had that penciled in my mind as that was going to happen.
Me too. I thought that The Rock and Roman Reigns was locked because Roman doesn't have the championship. I thought that he was going to cost him that tribal combat match and plant the seeds for the WrestleMania match in Vegas. I thought that was too big to pass up, But I don't know. Reports are saying that he might not work the show. So, and then Cody and they're saying that they going a different direction, and Cody and Rock's not happening either. So, who does Cody Rhodes face if he's not facing The Rock or definitely not facing Roman? But
that's what I was about to get into. Is there a chance they run Cody Roman back? Because Paul said that Roman wants his title back.
There is a chance that they do a part 3. Because, I mean, they're 1-1 right now.
Yeah.
So, because Roman got the first one, and Cody got the second one, so they could do a trilogy at WrestleMania, back to back.
I don't think that's Rock Austin's the only one that had multiple main events, right?
Yes, correct. It was I think it was 3 years straight. They main evented.
And that would be 3 years straight too.
That would be 3 years straight. So they would have their own Rock and Roman type of WrestleMania rivalry. So I could see it happening, Only way that I really see Roman realistically getting an opportunity is he can win the Chamber. But I don't know when Roman wants to work the Chamber. So maybe him winning another Royal Rumble, but I don't know how people will react to that field in the Rumble is stacked already. So I don't see how.
That's what I was about to say.
I don't think people are going to be too keen on Roman winning another one at this point. So, Cody and Roman will be kind of hard to get to story-wise without, like, him earning the opportunity. So, we'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, like, I'm going to ask you this question. So, if Cena doesn't face Cody, who do you want Cody to fight at WrestleMania?
Well, my perfect idea, and I'm going to be honest, I've been working on so much stuff and getting ready for school. I haven't really watched the product before Raw on Netflix. So you can tell me if I'm completely out of the loop.
Oh, yeah, I got
you. I've always said that I think a Randy Orton-Cody Rhodes match at WrestleMania needs to happen. I've always said there's a massive story to tell there. I can just imagine the promo package when the match, before the match, there's a massive story to tell there.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they haven't capitalized on it, plus they've been laying, little sprinkles into, that every time Cody and Randy are in ring, Randy's looking at the championship.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just, something he's doing, or if it's something they're telling him to do to build to that, so that they could go back and take those shots.
Yeah, I think that they are building to it. I think that, honestly, Randy and Cody was probably the backup plan in case Rock said no and he couldn't do it. So that's why they probably told Randy to just say plant those seeds just in case. Because I think they have to run it before Cody gets the belt off him. You know, that match is too big. It either has to happen at WrestleMania or they need to run that this August at SummerSlam. Like, it's too big to not run that match, really. So I think that's the perfect match for WrestleMania, in my opinion, for Cody Rhodes. If you're not gonna do John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, okay, that's not the plan. Cena won't win the Rumble. Okay, cool. Cody and Randy is the next best option. Then you can run CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. That's Roman Reigns' match for WrestleMania right there. And then maybe for Gunther, I don't know, Gunther and Rollins or something like that. I don't know who he will fight.
See, I just thought about that on a whole nother level. That could have been the seeds they were planting with the Punk favor that he wanted from Heyman. I don't know if you remember back at Survivor Series.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that favor. Wow. That could be a very interesting thing because, you know, I think the battle of the Paul Heyman guys, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, you know, I think that's the perfect story to tell right there. Whose side will Paul Heyman align on? Will it be the one that he built up, that he found from nothing, CM Punk, and CM Punk made himself and he aligned with him? Or will it be Roman Reigns, the man that he got behind when nobody else got behind him? The man that he has molded this heel turn with, created this tribal chief persona with. You know, that's a good story to tell right there, in my opinion. So that could be an avenue that they can run too. There's a lot of ideas for WrestleMania, honestly, that they can have. So who do you think's going to win the Rumble? Like,
I really like the idea of doing Cena. I think that makes, personally for me, the most sense. And then you could decide where you want to go with WrestleMania, because then you could do that Cena's going to beat Cody, and then Cody turns on Cena and retains the title that way.
Yep.
Or you could do it the opposite way and have Cena turn on Cody. But I don't feel like there's a way you can do that match and have both of them be good guys and in the match good guys either.
You can't.
Because, nah.
No.
Because,
you can't do
like, that. Because I don't feel like the build will justify either one of them turning pre-Mania. Cena especially. If they turn Cena pre-Mania, dude. But especially with Cody, I feel like that a lot of people are on board for a Cody heel run anyway. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. I think that we haven't seen Cody Rhodes be a heel since his AEW days, if I'm correct, right? I believe he was a heel a little bit in AEW. I think
maybe I'm not the biggest AEW.
Yeah, my memory is finicky on if he was a heel, but he hasn't been a heel in years. What I'm trying to say. So having a heel run in WWE as the world champion, I think that would be perfect. And there's a lot of avenues you can go with that, because, you know, someone said they had this idea that Cena could win the Royal Rumble, go to WrestleMania, get screwed out of the WrestleMania match, and then you can give him Money in the Bank, like, and continue that chase of him trying to get 17, like going through so much adversity where he has to win the Money in the Bank briefcase and then cash it in to finally get his 17. Because remember, the last time that John Cena had the Money in the Bank, he was one of the first ones ever to fail, and he did not successfully cash in the Money in the
Oh,
Bank
if he
briefcase.
cashes in successfully, he has 17.
You see what I'm saying? That's an avenue that they can go with too, because they can play on it. Well, yeah, last time John Cena had this briefcase, he failed back in 2000, I believe it was 12. 2012, he had failed. I think the Big Show or somebody had cost him the briefcase or something. And he didn't win the world championship. So you can play on that too. Um, so that's an idea that you can have, is to chase, and he finally wins it, and then his last match ever would be him losing the belt, which I wouldn't mind. I would not mind at all. He puts over someone, he lays down for someone, and makes somebody a star, and they take the world title from him in December.
Isn't
I
that a
wouldn't be
bit?
mad at it.
Isn't that a bit predictable though? Because everybody already knows that he's ending in December.
That is
So
that yeah, it would be predictable, and I get that too. Cause let's say he wins it in August, we know he's gonna lose it in December. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I
yeah,
said that him winning the world title wouldn't be as exciting to me, because we know that he's gonna lose it in a few months. So we already know where the reign is going. Not like gonna be like he's gonna wrestle in 2026. He said that no, he's working the full year and he's done. So there's negatives of giving him the world title, while there is those positives of him getting the 17th. But we know that when he gets to 17th, he's only going to hold it for like 3-4 months maybe, and then he's going to have to drop it right back. So it's a good debate to have. There's pros and cons to John Cena winning the world title. I think that there's a little bit more pros than cons to me, because I think that you can really, really tell a great story with him being the world champion for the last time.
and I can get behind that. I can get behind that. There's good reasons and bad reasons for it. So actually, before we get too much more farther in this, I wanted to ask you, where do you view what like ideas you have versus like so I was gonna get into the story behind your universe mode, because I'm gonna go into, and this will be little actually, but this will be mentioned a lot in the episode that's gonna go up before this one about like the entire insight into UKW, because this is actually technically going to be episode 4. So
Okay.
What's going into this one is, like, I know I started my universe mode because at the time I wasn't as happy with the WWE product.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to know if that was like a similar thing with you with your universe mode. Is that I see a lot of people say that they were just so unhappy with WWE's product at the time, is why they started their universe mode, or they used it as a creative outlet, whatever it be.
So the story of CTP started back in 2013. So my uncle, my cousin, and myself started CTP. I wasn't necessarily upset with the WWE product at the time. We started back when WWE 13 released, like I'm sorry, 2K14, because that's 2013. When WWE 2K14 released, that's when we started the universe mode. It wasn't because we were upset with the product. We always did a universe mode. We always did one in every game since they introduced the mode, I believe, in SmackDown versus Raw 2011. That's when we started. So we always did one. So how we started was we all made characters, calls. So I made myself, I said my son, ColeTrain Jr. That's the character I made. I was like, well, my son's gonna be the call I made, and my uncle made himself, and my cousin made himself. And how we used to do it was we planted our calls into a universe mode save, and we just played out the entire year or two, depending on how long how much we get through of the game before the next game comes out, and we did it all over again. Well, I had the bright idea, and I got this from Fun fact, even though he doesn't like me anymore, Brennan Plays was to start continuing my universe mode and saving the progress, or like taking notes of the progress and putting it in the next game. So I got that idea from him. I started watching him because I back then I used to love his content. Before he stopped liking me for we left the comment. That's another story for another day. I explained it on my channel. Y'all won't go find that story. Y'all just go watch one of my videos on the channel. I explained it. But yeah, he had did that, and I used to watch Delzinski too, and he did it as well, and Gordon Perkins too, and Mervs and all of them. This was way before Mervs came, because I just started watching Mervs. When Mervs didn't start until like I think 2016 or 17. That's when I started watching. I was fun fact, I was one of Mervs' first 320 subscribers. Whenever he first started, I was one of his first 320 that has subscribed to his channel. I still got the screenshot too. So yeah, I had got that inspiration from them. So I just kept taking notes of what we used to do in the previous games. So fast forward to WWE 2K, it was 17. We finally said that, okay, we're going to bring this product to YouTube. I got influenced and motivated by these creators I just listed off and said, okay, I want to showcase this to an audience, because we've been doing this offline for the last, at the time, 3 seasons. We got through 3 years of doing it offline, and we started at season 3, the second half of season 3 on WWE 2K17, and I have been going now. It is now season number 8 as of right now in 2025. The series is still going on. That was one of the first series I had. I called that the main universe mode, because on my channel we have 3 distinct series. Okay, we have the main universe mode, which is the main continuity, which is the continuity that started in 2013 and is still going on to this day in 2025. It is the 12 years old. That's 12 years of material in the main universe mode. Our second universe mode is called the universe mode New Age. That is where we train new people that we bring in, because I have a team of bookers, and I have writers for AEW. I co-write RH, and I have a writer for Collision, and we all produce the shows too. So a lot of people over the years that I started doing the universe mode since 2017 have been wanting to join CTP and have a role within it. So we train people in the universe mode New Age series, and they get all the inklings of how CTP works, how to book a show, how to produce a show, how to write a show, etc. And then I move them up to the main universe mode series after a year. So that's how we can continue to keep the flow going, because as people get older, their time starts to diminish, and some people retire from YouTube or leave YouTube completely. I've had that happen with a few bookers. I haven't heard from them in years. They left YouTube and said, hey, I'm done with this. I'm going on and enjoy my life. And I was like, okay, cool. Hope you have a great life, and hope you are successful in your next future endeavors. So that has happened a few times with the series. And then our last series is our predominantly, I call it the WWE series, is our more creative series, like kind of like the, like that what if content that a lot of people do. It's more so of that. We call that my mode. That's our final series that we have. So my channel is full-blooded universe mode and podcasting, like ColeTrain interviews, live streams, and we talk about other games and stuff from time to time. But the main full blood of it is universe mode. But going back to your question though, it wasn't of a hatred, I was a frustration with the WWE product. I was actually loving it at the time. It was 2013. CM Punk was still in the company. That was before I knew all the drama about what was going on behind the scenes with him. They didn't make me mad about the Undertaker yet breaking his streak. The product was pretty decent. The Shield was still on top of the world. at that time period. So I was really enjoying the WWE product for the most part. In 2013, I think SmackDown was kind of trash to me at the time, but I liked Raw. But NXT was slowly becoming the black and gold NXT at that time, late 2013, early 2014. So, I was really getting into the indies at that time too. So I was actually really excited being a wrestling fan when I started the Universe Mode. It was just something that we did as a hobby that I realized that, okay, these guys are making this for YouTube. I and my, my I call him my cousin by marriage. He convinced me to join YouTube back in 2016. He said, "Man, you got the personality for this. You can talk. You can talk. You can hold a conversation with people. You can entertain people for hours on end. Man, get you a microphone, get you a headset, create your account, and see what happens." He really motivated me to get into this YouTube game and really start this. And I was like, okay, man, I'll give it a shot. And if I don't like it in like 2 years, I'm not gonna do it again. And little did I know, 2 years after I said that, I was at 250 subscribers, and I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere, and I'm like liking what I'm doing, and I just kept on doing it, and now here we are. In May of 2025 will be 9 years I've been doing this stuff on YouTube. Nine long years. Actually, May 16th to be exact. The day before I graduate with my bachelor's degree in computer science from college, it will be my 9-year anniversary on YouTube, and the day after I walk across the stage with my bachelor's degree. So 2025 is a very, very fitting and very, very important milestone year for me professionally, YouTube, and personally with my academics. So, yeah, that's really how CTP works. And I know UKW is primarily a call-based universe mode. We do have calls in CTP. We have a mix. We use a lot of IRL superstars, but we do have calls as well. And we have our own call division. And they have their own championship, or they had their own championship called the Creators World Heavyweight Championship, which we have rebranded the CTP Championship, where anybody can go for that championship. And now we have it where our calls can also fight for world titles as well. So our call division is slowly but surely building back up. We lost a lot of people. You know how it is, Cass. People come and go, and they got mad at me because I had something going on behind the scenes in my life, and I couldn't make the show on time, so they cussed me out in DMs talking about, you don't want to use me anymore. Every time I'm on the show, I lose. All that fun stuff, all that stuff you deal with call drama. So I was like, you know what? If you feel that way, dude, I can delete your call off my system, and you can leave. And that's what they did. So I had to kick a few people out of my division, and our call division was kind of lacking a little bit, but it's slowly but surely building itself back up. And if anybody that have calls in UKW, if you wanted to have your call in CTP, we would gladly take you, and you can always DM me, and we'll get discussion going, and we'll see what happens from there. But that's the story. That's how the universe mode really, really started for me. And for like a production side of how I like to make my stuff unique is, we have a full-blown professional wrestling style and sports kind of style to our commentary. J&W Boss. I work closely with him to really distinct my brands, to really make them stand out. I like to say, when you watch a CTP video, you're watching something that you won't see from anybody else. When you click on our universe mode video, you're gonna be like, okay, I hear two people. You don't normally hear that from a universe mode. Outside of Kaz, y'all do 3 people. That's the first time I ever heard that whenever I started watching y'all, and I think that's mildly impressive to this, and I still believe that, because I've never done 3 people before. I did it one time.
It's actually funny, the growth of UKW. We started with 1, And then we went to 2. And then we went to 3. So it's like,
That's how it was too. It was one person. Then we said, okay, let's add a second person. And we haven't done 3 yet. But I do want to try it one day. One day after we get everything straight, just do 3 people and calling one show. I think that would be awesome, honestly.
Jonathan Coachman did an interview talking about 3-man commentary and how it's like one of the hardest things in the wrestling business, because you're not just doing commentary with one person where you're throwing stuff back and forth. You have to throw things in a triangle. Like, you have to connect one person's commentary to one person, and then they have to be able to play off that and also play off what the other person's doing at the same time. And you have to do trios commentary well, and this is what he brought up, is that you have to have 3 people that get along. And that was part of the issue when he came back, I think it was like 2019, 2020, one of the times. Him and Corey Graves didn't get along, so he had it caused so much problems with the trio commentary with him, Cole, and Coachman, that it just didn't work.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, that was on another shout out CVV. That was on another Chris Van Vliet interview.
I love Chris Van Vliet interviews. I must have missed that Jonathan Coachman one or didn't finish it. But I agree, absolutely. You need 3 people that get along, 3 people that know each other very well, 3 people that know their roles, because I think that's really the most key part that a lot of people miss in 3-person commentary is everybody wants to be the lead. Everybody can't lead. Somebody has to do color. Somebody has to backtrack off of color and lead, because that's the only way it'll work. So you have to really define your roles to make a 3-person commentary team work, and then you'll be successful. But we did it one time back in 2020, just to try it, and it was a full-blown disaster because 2 people that were doing commentary did not like each other, like you said, so that they were over talking each other, and nobody really had a role. It was just when they seen the move, they called it, and then we were talking over each other, saying the same words. It was like no communication neither. Like, when you do 3-person commentary, you gotta have communication, even with dual commentary. Like, we'll give you an example. Like, whenever me and J&W do commentary for TNA, we call the show together. I am the one that responds and backtracks to him after he says something. He takes the lead because it's him. Most of the stories he writes, it's his production, so he takes lead over it, and I bounce off of him. I'm the heel, so he obviously doesn't like the heels. He tries to talk down on the heels, but trying to obviously not in the ring, of course, but like their actions, and I defend their actions. That's how we do it. And I say, oh no, boss man, you're wrong. That's not how Booker T is. Booker T's this, blah 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 blah. So that's how we do dual commentary. It's establishing roles. It's establishing who's gonna do what, and it works perfectly. I think that me and him, and me and Expert, like the 2 people I've done dual commentary with, they are the most fun to call shows with, because with J&W, I'm a heel, and then with Expert sometimes I'm a babyface, so you kind of get 2 dynamics. But I like more doing heel commentary, because I think that I did babyface for so many years on my channel in my universe mode. I kind of got stagnant with it, and like not having a guy to bounce off of for heel was why I never went heel. And I just went heel one episode, and dog, I literally never looked back. Now I love it. I love being a heel on commentary. It's fun. It's energetic. It gives me life when I'm doing my commentary. And for like smaller creators, if they actually want to eventually get into the universe mode thing, really take it serious, you really like with commentary, you really gotta have the passionate of what you're calling and be energetic. Because as a fan, when I watch universe modes, if you don't care about what's going on in that ring, then I'm not gonna care about what's going on in that ring. And you need to care, especially when you're doing call stuff. Because
Yeah.
these are not real life characters.
Nope.
This is not someone I could turn on the TV and look at. You have to present that call a certain way, or the people that are watching, nobody's gonna get it, and it will fail.
You have to express, and this is with any universe mode stuff, because these aren't real people. They can't express with wrestling their facial emotions, how they feel in the moment. So, say for example, you have somebody that's like in a submission and their legs been worked all match, and they're in a submission. You have to establish that on commentary. You have to establish these things because they're not real people. They can't establish it themselves.
Exactly. And that's the funnest part with doing call stuff is you make these characters.
Yeah.
You determine how they act because you're not going off of anything else. Like, me having Roman Reigns, for example, in my universe mode, I can pull off of Roman Reigns in the Shield, or Tribal Chief Roman, or Babyface Roman with Big Dog Roman or whatever. Like, cause I have things I can pull from, for example. But looking up like someone like J&W's Dwayne Frost, I don't have anything I can pull off of for Dwayne Frost, because Dwayne Frost is not a real person. He's a creator wrestler. So I have to determine how I want Dwayne Frost to act. That's the beauty and more fun with calls, is that creativity, is the adding the fun atmosphere to them, because these are not real folks. So you can do whatever you want with them. So that would really, like, what frustrates me with some call shows is the lack of creativity. It feels like I'm watching a WWE show, because some of the calls are based off of real people, and they don't have their own dynamic stories to them, and I'm like, man, I'm not saying it wasn't bad. It was the product was good. It just I was like, man, where's the creativity? Like, you can really have fun with this, You don't have to base your call after every real life wrestler. You can put some elements of real life people in there and play around with it and have fun. I think that's the most unique calls and really unique characters you can make with calls, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing, and it's been brought up a lot in the first 2 episodes, and I'm sure it's going to be brought up in a lot in episode 3. The fact that we're kind of, any universe mode stuff is really limited to the limitations of the game. And sure, it's different for people that are involved in the modded community. Sure, it's a bit different, but as far as for people that are old school doing it on console and stuff, you're really limited by the limitations. And even people that are doing mod, there's only so much stuff you can do. You're really limited by what the games have. So, for example, little inclination behind the scenes, and this is kind of the only spoiler I'm going to give for this, because it's way down the scene, is I'd like the idea to do an I Quit match eventually. Can't do that in a game. That don't exist. So you have to make different editing tricks to be able to purvey that. There's certain things you have to go about on in the editing or in the commentary or what it be to purvey the story you're trying to tell.
Exactly. And we've done an I Quit match in CTP before. I've seen J&W do one too. It's doable, but like you said, it takes some adding it takes some really manipulating footage. You might have to like, you know, maybe like either put some text around the person and say, ask them, do they quit, or maybe maybe voice it to get that reaction
That's
out
the
of it.
plan that I have. Yeah.
Yep, and then edit in the bell whenever they do quit, because you know obviously the match won't end because you know it's not a actual mode, which really frustrates me with WWE 2K. And I know we're going to get into them a little bit later on in this podcast, but when you brought up the I quit, this really frustrates me. And I think it's because of them still being on the PS4 and PS3, but it's still not an excuse because this mode was in WWE 2K14. There are certain modes in this game that are still not in the game from the THQ days, which I think is pretty ridiculous. WWE 2K14, 2K, if y'all don't know, they published that game. They didn't make it. Oh, that's hold on. I got a phone call. I'm gonna cancel it. I'm gonna call them back. But WWE 2K published that game. And they didn't make it. So THQ made that game. But they still have some of those assets because they use some of those assets in WWE 2K15. So what I'm confused about is like, why is the I Quit match not in the game today? Why are we still on the PS4 games? Why we haven't fully moved to the next gen?
Yeah. And see, that's one thing that you got to think about is like, I just wish there was more stories to be able to purvey certain things you want to tell. Like, little dive into behind the scenes. The matches they did add, the gauntlet match, I've been able to tell some really good stories with, like the gauntlet match type that they added. Mm-hmm. That I've been able to tell some really good stories with that. One of my biggest stories I was able to tell with the special referee mode, but the ambulance match and the casket match, it just wasn't really, if I'm being honest, it wasn't like the idea of having that match in the game. Fine with it. The execution of the button mash system makes it so makes the match feel so repetitive to me. Like it, especially being that the animations are the same. Like if you throw somebody in the ambulance, it's always, oh, you go to close the first door, they're going to try to fight. Then you go to close the second door, they're going to try to fight. Like, I wish that, depending how long you were in the match for, some of the, it changed. Like, I wish that, if you were in the first 10 minutes of the match, yeah, they would try to fight back. If you were in the first 15 minutes of the match, you throw them in, it closes one door automatically, then they try to fight on the second one. But anything past that is you close both doors, because then it allows the person to take that advantage towards creating a realistic looking ambulance match or a realistic looking casket match where it's not so repetitive in gameplay.
Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of it is repetitiveness. A lot of it is, no uniqueness in the animations and in the style of the match. And that's because you're making this stuff for 2013, 12-year hardware. 12-year-old hardware, okay? Hardware. And let me get y'all insight in tech. Tech moves so fast, okay? Like your phone, for example, is outdated in less than a year. Your computers are outdated in less than maybe 3-4 months. Because tech moves fast. New specs are created, fashion specs are created very quickly. And with 2K making WWE 2K25 on PS4 and Xbox, and 2K24 on PS1 and Xbox One, they're using specs and parts that were used to make the iPhone 5. Or hell, even iPhone 4. iPhone 4 and 5. Think about that. We're on like what? Almost the iPhone 16 or something at this point? I don't even know what number they're on, honestly. Like, it's ridiculous how outdated this PS4 is. And yes, the PS4 is a very great console. You know, I love my years with my PS4.
Same.
I don't think it's a bad console, but what happened to generations? You know, a console has a 8 to 9 year cycle. That's the generations. You know, and then we move on to the next one as technology advances. We're less than 3 years away from the PlayStation 6, guys.
And that's the point I was just about to make. Is we're around the corner from the PS6, and they're still making games for the PS4.
So why would, in anybody's right mind, if I'm thinking logically, and I don't have like I'm not a big PlayStation fan, and I only play sports games, right? And I'm seeing that, oh, all my sports games are still being made for the PS4. Why would I get a PS5?
Yeah.
Why would I burn $500 unless I want GTA 6 now to get a PS5, to get a PS5, to get an Xbox Series X? Because they're still making these games for the PS4, so you're losing potential sales.
And this is my thing. At least you could do, if you're gonna do next gen. And I don't know what WWE 2K24 looks like on PS4. I don't know. I haven't had a PS4 in years.
It's eerily similar. I think that I have them for both versions. You can't even tell which one's PS5. I think the only way you can really tell is from the lighting. But the lighting is eerily similar, and the PS5 version loads faster. That's it. It's the same game. It's made the same. The graphics are the same. They're not even using the power of the PS5. Because I have it on PS5, and it looks like a PS4 game. And that's it.
And that's my problem, really, is the fact that you gotta really, what was I gonna say? With the PS5, if you're like Madden, for example, there we go. I'm back on my train of thought. If you're like Madden, for example, at least the PS5 and PS4 versions look massively different. They're basically different games. Like all Madden on PlayStation 4 is basically just a carbon copy of the last main Madden release on there with just roster updates. While Madden on PS5 has entirely different graphical look, has an entirely different screen setup, like based on like scoreboards and stuff like that, and it's basically an entire different GFX game, like from the GFX that appear on the screen. So at least WWE could do something like that, where like there's at least a difference. But I guess it's a worry of, but even you mentioned, why get a PS5 if the same game's going to come out on PS4? I guess you could also look at it as there are some people that aren't going to get a PS5 that still have their PS4 that'll go out and get it, so that maybe adds on to their existing sales already. I guess that might be the thought process behind it, but I 100% agree that they need to fully shift full for next gen, because if they don't, then by the time the PS6 comes out, you're still going to be making games for the you're not going to have had a main game release on just the PS5.
Right.
So now that we've got into that, that's what you. That kind of hops into what we really want for 2K25 a bit. Is I know you had said that you were really. I know we're not getting for 2K25 a just PS5 release.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's something we can hope for 2K26. But is there any what is your, if you had to add 3 things to the game, what would your 3 things be? And we'll go ahead and end it on that.
If I had to add 3 games, really, for me, it would be more match types, of course, like I Quit,
Yes.
an expanded backstage,
Okay.
and what I want is 2 distinctly different versions, one for the PS5, one for the PS4. It should not be the same game. That's the 3 things I want. Cause why did I pay $500? Well, it was actually $570 to be exact for my PS5. $570 for my PlayStation 5. And outside of college football 25, I have not, and NBA 2K, I have not played a true next gen sports game. I have not had a true next gen wrestling experience. I think that is very, very frustrating to me.
And the 3 I'll get into for me is, I've always said, you know how they have the create a match type in the game, where you can fully customize and create a match. My idea is, I think that they need to expand on that. If you're not going to add in match types like I Quit, stuff like that, then fully add in where you can pick those as customizable options. Because if they just add, for example, they add a I Quit option, that gives you an I Quit match. And then you could also do different variations of that. You can do a I Quit match within Hell in a Cell, stuff like that. That is supposed to be what video games are for, is to do things that have never happened before. And I think that's what really 2K have kind of lost with the WWE games, is that they tried to make it an exact port of realistic situations with realistic match types and all that stuff, where I feel like they could really benefit off of a bit of creativity within their match types of doing stuff that maybe hadn't happened before. But anyway, it's been lovely having you, Cole.
Yes. Again, I apologize about that phone call mid podcast. Busy man over here, y'all. But yeah. My final thoughts is I just hope that 2K. They say that this is the breakthrough year, right?
Yep.
I really hope that they believe it. I really hope that this is truly the breakthrough.
I think they believe
it
for an entirely different reason. I think that, and I'll touch on that real quick when you get done.
Go ahead. Okay. Hold on. Let me say my point. Because Take-Two wants to make all this money, right? And they said that they're trying to make this $1 billion in this fiscal year, right? And they need every game to succeed. Every game. So if this is really going to be the breakthrough year, and they know that the WWE 2K, the WWE contracts coming up very soon, right? They better get it together. Because if WWE sees that, 2K25 didn't do good, they may have their license like the NBA games and start shipping it out to other publishers. Because I've heard a rumor that Triple H is not like Vince McMahon. He is willing to ship the games license to multiple publishers to have multiple WWE games released every year to give them more money. And Take-Two's like that too. Because technically, UFC does not have to just be made by EA. Anybody can make a UFC game if they want to. EA's the main ones that make them. But if 2K wants to, they can absolutely make a UFC game because it's not exclusive. I'm hearing that the WWE games license might not be exclusive anymore. So this is why they're saying breakthrough year. Because if they keep having negative publicity and those sales don't add up, TKO gonna look at that because TKO owns WWE now. It ain't just WWE themselves. TKO's gonna look at those sales and they're gonna be like, okay, maybe we should look at somebody else. Maybe we should ship our license other places. So 2K needs to stop being stagnant. 2K needs to show us that they can make a game. Go ahead.
I feel like that might open the door for maybe, and you wouldn't be able to make it with like old rosters or anything, but maybe like a WWE game built on like a Here Comes the Pain engine or something like that. If they were to go and open it up to multiple different publishers.
Like, imagine Ukes having the simulation-based WWE games again, right? And we're able to get SmackDown versus Raw again. Because technically, they could, they can use that name if they want to, because that's WWE. It's owned by WWE, and they can use it for the games because WWE 2K calls it WWE 2K. So, imagine if we get a SmackDown versus Raw 2026 for 7, and a WWE 2K 26 for 7, and we have two options.
It's kind of worrisome for maybe like content creators like us, because then I feel like that splits the fan base. Because there's going to be people that are going to be looking for content for, say, 2K26 versus people that are looking for content on SmackDown versus Raw 26.
Yes. As a fan, it will be the greatest time ever because it will remind us of the Monday Night Wars. It will breed competition. This is what we thought that the AEW game was going to do. We thought that the AEW game was going to open up the floodgates and really make 2K care. And then when it flopped, 2K just said, okay, we're going to keep making PS4 games. Because, they don't have any competition. It's why NBA 2K is the way it is right now. It's why it sucks. Because EA is not giving 2K competition with the NBA 2K games. They don't have competition with the WWE 2K games. Why are they average products? It's in the thing. When you don't have a motivation, when you don't have competition, your product will get stagnant. That's what happened to WWE in real life before AEW came around. Their product was very stagnant and boring because they were the only. I'm trying to figure out a word. They were the only crop in the town. That's a very bad analogy, but you get what I mean. Because it's either WWE or not. Yeah. Where's gonna get your wrestling at? When AEW came, that changed. It finally woke them up. It finally opened up the sleeping giant, and now we're getting the best television we've had in years. Over 20, at least over 15 years. Yeah. This is the hottest the product has been and the best it's ever been.
And it's really it's shown that, like, I really do not think I think there's such a giant machine behind WWE. I genuinely think it's going to be hard for a company to ever truly compete.
I agree.
I believe that there's such a massive machine behind it that sure, if AEW would have came around 2015 when WWE was at its lowest, 2016, sure, you can maybe compete then. And AEW was competing when they first started. They were getting massive rates. But they took the same route that all these wrestling companies take. They choose to bring in maybe talent that they view over their own. And also, AEW suffered from very niche booking decisions. Like it really does feel like, and this is no disrespect to Tony Khan, maybe I'm just talking out of my head, but it does feel like it's booked by a fan.
Because he is one.
And like it doesn't seem like it's booked to put together a cohesive product in my mind.
No, you're not wrong. And a lot of people share your sentiment about AEW, especially at the end in the fall of 2024, winter 2024. I've seen hardcore AEW fans say the same thing you've been saying. They're finally waking up and seeing it with their own eyes. It's booked like a fan. It's not booked like a cohesive wrestling company. It's not. That's just the reality of the situation. That's how AEW is run. It's like you and me. We sit down, we book a show, and we're like, okay, we're gonna have this happen, that happen, that happen. You know, like we're sitting down trying to fantasy book. You know, our stuff makes a little bit more sense, but you know, not here or there. But that's what it feels like, because he's a fan. He was a wrestling fan. He was a massive wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And that's why he started it. Because he wanted to do something with the Bucks and Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega. That's why this thing started. And I commend it for it starting, you know. It changed a lot of things. It woke up WWE. I thank him for that. I'm telling you, if AEW was not a thing, let me tell you something. Most of us probably wouldn't even be watching WWE right now.
That's real.
I'm so
that
serious.
That is real.
I am so serious, because the product will still be stale right now, because they wouldn't have any competition. That's what WWE 2K is going through. Is exactly what WWE in real life is going through. What was going through before AEW. They have nobody to fear. They have nobody to compete with them. That's why the WWE 2K games, they just add a few features in there every year and say, here you go, new rosters. They update the graphics a little bit, give you some new interests, put some new music in there, and say, here, give me $70, because there's no competition. Then they give us a bland showcase mode that nobody cares about. Then they give us a My Career mode that sucks, or My Rise, or whatever it's called now. Sucks, always mid, and say, here you go, $70. And I'm telling you, Cass, I know the only reason why I get the games is because I'm a YouTuber. That's it.
Not even gonna lie to you. Me and my friend, that he does a podcast as well. We've talked about this. I genuinely don't think I would get the game if I didn't make content on it, because the replay value of just playing the game, while it has went up a little bit with the adding of my GM mode, My Rise and Showcase has no replayability.
None.
Like, you play My Rise once, might be good. You play Showcase once, meh.
Yeah.
And the problem is, you can't even really do any content on Showcase, because they got lazy and added in real life clip cuts.
So YouTubers that make money off of this, and this is their job, risk their channel getting strike down if they play Showcase mode. So YouTubers that make videos off of this for a full year before the next game comes out, they lose a full mode. And then nobody's going to watch my faction. Everyone hates it.
Yeah.
So if I'm a YouTuber, the only modes I have to play on this game to make a living, if you make a living off of it, is Universe mode, My Rise, and My GM. That's it. You have 3 modes to survive you, and play mode. Really, you want to have some fun with people, to survive you for a full year.
And don't even get me started on like trying to, because I've seen people try to do this, like trying to make any type of content on the online. Don't even get me started on that. That's a whole.
You're cooked.
Yeah.
You're cooked, man.
But it
ain't happening.
like I can say I remember the dark days of 2K15 and 2K4, where 2K15, where it was Universe Road and My Career, and the My Career was very repetitive, and that's all you got. But at least the My Career had repetitiveness where you could keep going. If I'm not wrong, My Rise, like, once you get done with the story, it just ends. Like that,
Yes,
like you can't,
yes.
you can't keep going.
Correct. Yes, they made it where it ends now. When they first introduced My Rise, you could have kept going, but they realized that there was nothing else for the player to do, so they just cut it. It was like, nah, you don't gotta continue. Make a new character and start over again. Because they said because of the branching pathways, that's why it ends. Which I don't really see any branching pathways in anybody's career. Most people that start the My Rise don't even finish it these days. They don't.
And
They
see,
started
that's
for a little bit and they stop.
see, that's a good idea in base of your decisions actually mattering. That's like a tall tale type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they've went around it just doesn't work. Because there's no actual branching patterns. Sure, you might have a different storyline that happens, but it's not going to be the main storyline. The main storyline is going to be the same. Like, for example, Undisputed was always going to be Roman comes back, you have a match at the end with Roman. Like, that was always going to be the thing. And
Right.
I wish I could have made a decision where maybe I had that match with Roman sooner and then there's a different end. Stuff like that. But here's hoping in 2K26, and here's hoping maybe some other companies get the license for a WWE game. But guys, if you enjoyed this interview with Cole, make sure you go hit him up. I'll be posting his links down in the description to go check him out. Make some really good solid content over there, and go check out the interview I did with Cole on the ColeTrain interviews, because as much cast as you can get is top tier. So go check that out.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you guys. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, if you guys want to hear more from me or my opinions, definitely check out our ColeTrain interview series on there. I get more insight with people like Kaz, and I interview them on there. They're very, very fun interviews. And you can also check out our universe modes on there as well. We have some fun content on there. Some, I think, quality content. If you guys like what Kaz is doing over here, I definitely think that you guys are gonna like what we got over there. And all my social medias will be linked down below. I'm not gonna say them because we're about to roll out, but Kaz will have all my socials down below. If y'all take the time to follow any of my socials, absolutely do that if you want to. And again, thank you, Kaz, for having me. I had a blast, and yeah, y'all be breezy.
100% enjoy his content. Go check him out. Anyway, if you enjoyed Creator Insight, I'll see you guys in the next one. And we're done.